Good? Good. Thank you. We want to thank each and every one of you out in internet land for joining us today for our TOC Sabbath class. TOC, that is the Truth of Christ Israelites Sabbath class. Thank you for joining us. We're happy to have you with us. We're going to get straight into today's lesson. Now, the Sabbath lesson for today, the topic is understanding the keys to a righteous marriage. Again, it's understanding the keys to a righteous marriage. All praises to the Most High. So, for those of you that's listening, be sure, take out your pens, your pads, write down your notes, get your Bibles out. That's very important. Get your Bibles out. It's time to learn. It's time to get in the spirit of the truth. All right? So, understanding the keys to a righteous marriage. First things first. What we must understand is, what marriage isn't. Okay, let's start with that. What marriage is not. Now, marriage is not a boyfriend and girlfriend thing. Nor is it a dating thing. Dating is a new age concept that actually, stemmed from the Babylonians, and then America picked that up. That is a culture in America. Oh, we're dating. We're just dating. We're dating. Right? Or in the Caribbean, is me there with you? Or are you there with me? I there with you? Or are you there with me? We there? Right? So that's not what marriage is. It's not a boyfriend or girlfriend thing. It's not a dating thing. It's not a I there with you or are you there with me thing. Okay? It's not just two people living together or cohabitating together. As a matter of fact, there's no such thing as dating in the Bible. There's nothing named dating in the Bible. You won't find that word, dating. You understand? There's betrothal, and then there's marriage. Betrothal and marriage. Betrothal and marriage. Good. Let's get a premise so we could understand something. Because before we get to the marriage part, right, there's some steps that, steps of wisdom that one should undertake in order to get to that point. But let's go to a precept really quickly. Let's go to the book of Exodus, chapter 16 and verse 22. Because I was making the point to let everybody know there is no such thing as dating in the Bible. Okay? Let's get the book of Exodus, chapter 16 and verse 22. Okay? Exodus, chapter 16 and verse 22. Read that for me. So we're reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 16 and verse 22.
Reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 16 and verse 22. And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread.
No, sorry. Not Exodus 16 and 22. Give me 1 second. Exodus 22 and 16. I'm sorry, Exodus 22. I had it turned around. Okay. 22 and 16. Sorry about that. So it's Exodus chapter 22 and 16, not 16 and 22. It's the other way around. 22 and 16.
Reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 22 and verse 16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed.
Now it says, if a man entices a maid being a young woman, and she's not what?
Betrothed.
She's not betrothed, meaning she's not engaged. She's not promised to be married to anybody. Read.
And lie with her.
And he has marital relations with her. He lays with her. Read.
he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
Now, this is the law. If a man entices a maid and he lays with her, right? The Bible says once she's not engaged, he will surely endow her to be his wife. So they ain't got no dating, or we just seeing one another, or we just seeing where things go, or we practicing, or we trying before we buy. That's a new age concept. That's not something that our forefathers practiced, nor was it in our law. The law said if a man led on with a woman, he must endow her to be his wife. Right? We're going to come back to that scripture. Right? We're going to come back to that. But I just wanted to give you the premise that there is no dating, there is no try before you buy. A man must take a woman's hand in marriage should he lie with her. Right? Good. So, before we get to the marriage part, like I said, there are some steps of wisdom that one should take in order to get to that point before the man is even asking the woman's father for his daughter's hand in marriage. Good? So we'll go through those stages. Hopefully we can get through all of the stages. So the first stage, right? Now we're talking about the keys, okay? The keys to a righteous marriage. So there are steps to this thing. There are steps. Anything that starts wrong is going to end wrong. So you must understand these steps in order to fulfill this thing the right way, in a righteous way. Yes? Good. So we're going to go through the stages. And we're going to, out the scriptures, show you the wisdom that's coming out of here, that this is what everybody should apply. This is what everyone should apply if, here's a conditional word, if you want a righteous marriage. If you don't want a righteous marriage, then fine. Lock off the tape now. You don't want to partake of this wisdom, that's fine. You could live with a demon all you want. But if you don't want to experience the perils and the torture, yes, I said torture, of being in a marriage with somebody who turned out to be a demon, then you would apply this knowledge. Good. So we're going to go through the stages, right? So we can understand the keys to a righteous marriage. So the first stage is the proving stage. The proving stage. Okay? The first stage is the proving stage. Let's get a scripture out of the Apocrypha. It is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 7. So that's the book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 7. Okay, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 7. Be sure to write these scriptures down, because if you want the keys to a righteous marriage, you would write these down. Okay, so we're going to read from the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 7.
Reading from the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 6 and verse 7.
Read.
If thou wouldest get a friend.
It says, if thou wouldest get a friend,
prove him first.
You got to do what?
Prove him first.
Prove him first. That's the first step. You got to prove one another. And a lot of people forget this stage. They forget all about this stage because they're not aware of this stage. They're not cognizant of this stage. You see somebody that you like to see, oh, let me just, I like to see that person, let me, hey, how you doing? Can we, but then, what happens now? You end up in an accident and you crash, because you did not do this. Read it again from the top.
If thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first.
Read.
And he be not hasty, and be not hasty to credit him.
Do not be hasty to credit someone until you have proved them. In other words, don't be so hasty to talk about, well, you know, I am going to be with this person for life, but you ain't even proved them first. You don't know what this person is capable of. You don't know what this person is like under pressure. You don't know what this person, how they would react to certain things, because you did not take any time to prove them first. Now, proving takes a while. Proving doesn't take 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Proving takes time. Sometimes even a whole 12 months. You can't even prove somebody, because guess what? That person, when you first meet someone, they're not showing you the real them. As somebody always like to say, when you first meet someone, you meet their representative. You meet the person who they would like you to see who they are, not the real them. You meet their representative. What does that mean? You have not taken the time out to prove a friend. When you take the time out to prove a friend, you know how someone will react in a certain situation, because it takes time. Some people would say, well, you know, I know this person very well. I know them, you know, and, you know, how long you know them? Well, 2 weeks. What? You cannot prove nobody in no 2 weeks. Okay, what nobody say? You cannot prove nobody in 2 weeks. Why? Because you're not seeing the real them at that point. Everybody is giving you the representation of who they would want you to think they are. So you meet everybody's representative at first, but then when situations arise, challenges occur, then you see how what people react. Then now you can start proving who this person really is. Right? Over a period of time. Because here's the thing. You cannot just prove somebody based off of one incident. You have to prove them over a consecutive period of time. In other words, a trend. In other words, a pattern. You must be able to see the pattern, the trend, the sequence. What's a trend or a pattern? Let's look at that. Let's look at that here really quickly. What is a trend or a pattern? Because when you're proving, you must be looking for certain trends and certain patterns. Let's look for the definition of trend. Right? Let's look for the definition of trend. It says change or develop in a general direction. Right? Now let's look for pattern. Trend or pattern. A pattern is defined as a repeated or decorative design. That's one meaning, right? Another meaning, let me pull up the Merriam Webster definition. Now it says, a pattern is a frequent or widespread occurrence. A frequent or widespread occurrence. That's a pattern. And when you're proving, you're supposed to be cognizant of the pattern of this person. Now, you cannot prove patterns just by one incident. Which is why you can't prove nobody in no 1 week or 2 weeks, not even 2 months, not even 3 months, not even 6 months, not even 8 months. You gotta spend time learning someone. You understand that? So you can observe the what? The pattern. What's the pattern? Frequent occurrence of something. When something occurs on a consistent basis, it becomes what? A pattern. A pattern. So the Bible says, if you're going to get a friend, and here's the thing, that was a key word. Read it from the top. Read that from the top.
Is that what get a friend?
Is that what get a what?
A friend.
A what?
Friend.
A friend. That's a very key word right there. Being friends first is one of the keys to a successful marriage. Being actual friends. Being friends isn't based off of lust. It isn't based off of sexual feelings. It isn't based off of carnal feelings. It's based off of genuineness of wanting to be this person's friend and seeing how this person operates as a friend. And the reason why a lot of marriages fail is because they never started out as friends. They started out as carnal individuals being attracted to one another physically, and they never got the chance to build a friendship. He said, if don't forget us a friend. A friend. That's an important part of marriage, being friends. That should be the basis of the relationship, being great friends. Being, not even great friends, being best friends. If you're not best friends with your spouse, as the Chinese says, something wrong. Something wrong. You must have the basis of friendship. Friendship. But here's the thing. Great friendships last throughout time when you can prove a friend. Great friendships last throughout time when you know exactly how this person operates, you're comfortable with how this person operates, and you do not let whatever happens in between the friendship to cause the friendship to end. If something does happen, you are looking ways to mend the friendship. And the reason why so many people could be quick to split when they're married is because they never were best friends. That's why when they hits the fan, somebody can be like, I out, I gone. Say it for me. Because y'all were never friends. Friends know how to patch up things and make it work. Friends know to get in an argument and, hey, tomorrow we're still friends. Friends don't belittle one another consistently over time. Friends appreciate one another. Friends value one another. Friends bear each other's burdens. The reason why you don't see a lot of those things happening in marriage is because they were never friends to begin with. They started out as what? Two lustful people coming together to fulfill their lust. I lust then after you, you lust then after me. Oh boy, she look nice boy, and she like, oh boy, he look good. And then y'all get together and then y'all become the two worst toxic people that under one roof. Can't live with one another, cat and dog. Fighting all day. A good day is when we don't argue. Because remember, everybody presents their representation of themselves first. That's what it says. If you're going to get a friend, prove them first. You must be able to prove them first. And you cannot prove anybody in a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, not even 12 months. You gotta go to some stuff. You gotta go to some things to test that friendship. So before y'all even think about marriage, you gotta think about what? Being good friends, best friends. But in being best friends, you gotta be able to prove that y'all are worthy of each other's friendship. Listen to me. Somebody's not worthy of your friendship if when you're proving them to be a friend, you realize this person is very inconsiderate. This person doesn't care about my feelings. This person doesn't care about anything. This person here, oh, I saw them at the school, and they looked like there was like a brother, like really in this troop, but then now we're getting to know them, I realize, he fake. as I say here in the islands. Just a bag of talk. In other words, just a lot of mouth. Like, persons give you their best representation of themselves because they have an end goal in mind. They have an ulterior motive. And persons could play the game very, very well. They would play the game. Let me tell you something. There's guys out there that will play the game for as long as they need to. Just as long as once they get that woman in bed, that's it. They know they have accomplished that thing which they set out to do. Because they gave her all the sweet words, all the nice words, and she believed. She ignored all the red flags. She didn't realize he was just a bag of talk. Now she's in a relationship with him, she realized, oh my goodness, I have slept with a demon. That's why it's important to understand the keys to a successful marriage, a righteous marriage. You've got to prove them first. And we're telling you, brothers and sisters out there in internet land that's listening right now, some of you may already be in relationships already, and you realize, wow, I forgot that part. Wow, no wonder my relationship is in problems. Wow, if I had known this a long time ago, I wouldn't be in this situation that I'm in right now, going through hell. You're going to go through hell if you do not apply the Most High's wisdom, if you do not apply the Most High's commandments, if you do not apply the Most High's laws. You're going to suffer a very bad union, a very bad marriage. I'm asking you, I'm telling you. The Bible never lied. Believe that. And if you think it's a joke, don't apply this wisdom and see what happens in your relationship after a couple of years. It's going to go down the drain. It can just be two people living under one roof, don't even know each other. Just living, just existing. That's not a successful marriage. Just cohabitating with somebody under one roof. Y'all don't even talk to each other. Is you do your thing, I do my thing. You know how many relationships end up in that situation? You do your thing, I do my thing. You sell to my way, I sell to your way. But nobody want to move out because the name won't tied to the mortgage. Nobody want to move out because they got assets built in that thing, and you know that could mess up somebody's financial situation. So it becomes two people just living under one roof. But had they applied this wisdom, this knowledge, this understanding, right? But here's the thing. A lot of people are not aware of this knowledge that's right here in the Bible. It's right here sitting in front of us all along, and we never applied it. Because a lot of times in the churches, they don't give you the correct precepts that help you to achieve a successful, righteous marriage. So, you've got to go through the proving stage, family. You must go through the proving stage. Become best friends. If you do not become best friends with your spouse in the initial stages, it's almost like you are doomed. You know why? Because it's going to be very difficult for you all to become best friends long after the problems have arisen. It's going to be very difficult for you all to go back to a stage that y'all should have started from. If you're not best friends with your spouse, it's going to be very, very rough. So we have it all wrong in this captivity. See a sister see you, y'all like one another, y'all jump in bed one time together. No! Where you learn that from? You learn that from being in captivity, because America practiced that. America showed you that, hey, I'm just dating. I'm dating with options. So what happens when you're dating? You're dating and you're seeing all these different men and women, and guess what you do when you're dating? People having sex when they're dating. The Bible says when you have sex, that's the consummation of a marriage. Meaning that is the ratifying of a contract. You're consummating a marriage, every person that you consummate the marriage, but then if you go have sex with somebody else as a woman, you commit adultery. Imagine that. You commit adultery because the first person that you have sexual relationship with, that is your husband. So the Bible said. And a woman not supposed to step outside the bounds of her husband. So in America, I'm just dating with options, keeping my options open. And before the end of the year, as they said, their body count up by 50%. Yeah, young females sleeping around, young males too, sleeping around. Not just young males and females, older men as well, older females. Because the mentality that we grew up in Babylon with was that way. Do as the Babylonians do. Oh, sure. Everybody dating? Well, I guess I'll date too. I'll date. By the end of the year, you don't commit adultery. How many times? Do you know adultery is punishable by death in the Bible? It is. As a matter of fact, read that to me. Give me that. Deuteronomy 22 and verse 22. Read that to me. Okay, Deuteronomy 22 and verse 22. Read that to me.
Reading from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22 and verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband.
So if a man be found lying or having sex with another woman that is married, read.
Then they shall both of them die.
They shall what?
Both of them die.
No, this is one of them will die.
Both of them die.
Both of them should die. That is the punishment according to the law. Both of them should die. That's a what you call a sin unto death. A sin unto death. You understand that? That's it on that? That's it on that? There's more? Okay, good. So now, give me another precept. Give me Leviticus 20 and verse 10. Is another one? Go ahead, read it. Go ahead.
If a man be found lying with a woman married to a husband, then they shall both of them die. Both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shall thou put away evil from Israel.
Because that is a very evil thing for a man to sleep with another man's wife. You understand that? And for the woman that allow another man to sleep with her knowing she has a husband. It's a very evil thing. So that's why it's punishable by death. Because the Moses said, you shall put away evil from Israel. There shall be no evil. You understand that? Good. So now give me Leviticus 20 and verse 10. And understand this. The reason, one of the reasons why things end up in adultery is because y'all didn't start as friends. This person ain't your best friend. So after a while, you don't even value them, you don't appreciate them, and now you're thinking about stepping out on them. Leviticus, yes, 20 and verse 10. So that's the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 10.
Reading from the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 10. And the man that committed adultery with another man's wife.
With another man's wife. So adultery is when a man commits or lays with another man's wife. Go ahead.
Even he that committed adultery with his neighbor's wife.
So even the man that lay with his neighbor's wife, read.
The adulterer and the adulteress shall surely be put to death.
Both of them. You know, as we say it, the two of them supposed to dead. Understand that? So, when it comes to proving, it's very, very important in the proving stage. You understand? Because I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes, when you meet somebody, they're not giving you the whole story. It takes time to prove somebody. Sometimes when you meet somebody, this woman has a husband, and you don't know that, And she ain't telling you that because she got problems at home and she wanted a little fun and she realized you're willing to step up to the fun, and because you ain't proving nothing, you might be serious, you might be a serious brother, but then you haven't done your due diligence and you realize, wait, Sister Mary, now you're committing adultery. You didn't prove. You didn't, I like to see the sister, she like to see me, boom, let's link up. Let's link up. No, there's stages to this. The proven stage, you must find out everything about this person. And when you're proven, it's not just talking about, oh, what's your favorite color? What you like to eat? What you like to drink? Those are basic things. When you're proving somebody over time, you know how somebody would react in a certain situation. If you ain't know how they're going to react in a certain situation, you ain't proved them long enough. You have not proven them long enough. You don't know if this person is a live wire who can just pop off at any time, smack you upside the head, box you in the throat. You don't know that because you have not proven them long enough. 2 weeks is not long enough. 3 months is not long enough. So when it comes to the proving stage, it's not just about, oh, well, I know them because I know he like to eat bread and tuna for breakfast. So I know him, y'all. Y'all, I know him. I know that man. He likes cornflakes hot, so I know him. Next thing you move with him, he knocked you upside the head. Oh, I don't know this man. I don't know him at all. I was mistaken. I don't know him at all. You did not take the time to prove a friend. Because you would have seen these tendencies coming out in the proven stage. You would have seen that this man gets very aggravated and very physically violent when certain things happen and he reacts. So if you don't know how somebody's going to react in a certain situation, you have not proven them long enough. He says, if thou would get as a friend, no, would your friend just knock you upside the head, box you in your throat, kick you in on your head back, as I say in J.A.? Your friend wouldn't do that. That's a very integral part. He said, thou would get as a friend. Now at that stage, you could see, wait, I realize he gets very overly emotional and then the emotionalism turns into physical violence. This is not someone I want to continue proving. Now at that stage, you could gracefully walk away because you're not tied to that person, you're not joined to that person, you're not married to that person, because you have not had any intercourse with that person that would consummate a marriage. You can gracefully walk away. You see why the stage is very important? Because what happens now, you don't prove the person, you end up in a situation where you think, I know him, y'all, I know him. One bam, thank you, ma'am. In the bed, he gets you. Now you realize you got to live with this man because the Bible said, no, you're married. Now you're living with him and he wake up one morning and you didn't have his breakfast ready and you find yourself on the floor in pain and you wonder, what did I do to end up in this? Because you didn't prove it. That's what you did. You didn't prove it. And that happens a lot. Even though it might sound funny, it happens a lot more than you know. And I've seen a lot of sisters and brothers in other congregations, they end up in this position because they did not go through the proving stage. The proving, do not overlook this stage, because once you pass this stage, it's very hard to go back to this. It's almost impossible to go back to proving a friend, because now Y'all going to become so familiar with the things that aggravate one another about each other, that going back to being best friends is almost non-existent. After somebody then get on your nerves to the point where even just let them over there sitting there chewing, like look at them chewing crackers. Crackers, look at them. When you don't get to that point, it's difficult it is to go back to being best friends, because now you become familiar. Now everything about them that aggravates you, you just can't shake it. You can't shake it. So now it's very difficult to do what? Go back to being best friends. Now you're going to need a serious intervention, serious counseling to get back to a point we should have started from. So it says, if thou would get us a friend, prove them first. And like I said, proving them is not just, oh, I know what your favorite food is to eat. That's not proving them. True. The last 6 persons they knew before you, they knew the same favorite things that they like to eat too. That don't mean that you know them. Knowing somebody's favorite meal don't mean you know them. Knowing how they're going to react in a certain situation. That's how you, if you know this person or not. Knowing how this person is with their family, their parents, their siblings. Knowing what type of relationship they have with them. Knowing if you and this person was to go out on an evening together and let's say the waiter messed up the order, would they embarrass you in front of this waiter or waitress? Could you really say, do you know what they would do in certain situations? If you don't, then you don't know that person. Because guess what? Even when you're cohabitating with a person, you're still learning a person. So there's a lot to learn about the person, and you will never know everything about the person. There's no way for you to know every single detail about the person, because learning a person is an ongoing process. Because people change over time. People evolve over time. People grow from being who they were into being who they're going to be. So when you cohabitate with somebody, you and them are both simultaneously growing together. You're not the same person who you once was when you first started out in a relationship. You've grown since that. Sometimes, here's the thing, you've grown for the worse. Some people grow for the better, and some people grow for the worse. So nobody starts out in the same way they were when they first got together. That's why it's important for y'all to be best friends before y'all get into any other stage. So when you're proven, that's not a stage where y'all gonna be linking up together alone. And because guess what happens when men and women link up together alone? What happens? Does anybody know? What happens? When you link up with a woman alone and you lust in and she lust in, what's eventually going to happen?
Well, sex.
It's eventually going to happen. So at that stage is a proven stage. You don't want to accidentally slip up and then y'all, boom, now this person married to you. You ain't proved them yet. You ain't proved them yet. So during that stage is not a stage where y'all going out alone, y'all linking up alone, nobody know y'all linking up, congregation ain't know nothing, because that means that there's stuff going on that's, on an intimate level. And once you get on an intimate level, you're sealing contracts. You're sealing contracts. Because once you have sexual intercourse, you consummated a marriage. But if you ain't prove that person, suppose the person married, suppose the person got a husband, you don't know that. You gotta prove that. Right? So, good. So now, that stage is not a stage where y'all going out. That's a stage where y'all on the phone, y'all talking, y'all need to know anything about one another. Y'all really valuing each other's minds. It's not a sexual thing at that point. It's not carnal. You understand that? So, that stage, you're supposed to be getting to know one another, and that's purely the stage to be talking on the phone and learning each other's true nature. True nature. You can only learn somebody's true nature through time. Through time. Through time. You understand that? Through time. Because you know what will end up happening? I'm going to show you. I'm going to give you a scripture. Let's go to the Apocrypha. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus chapter 26 and verse 23. So that's the Apocrypha, the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 26 and verse 23. This is what usually happens when you do not prove a friend. When you just, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You couldn't contain. You couldn't wait. You just had to just rush in. Boom, bam, bam. This is what happens. Ecclesiasticus 26 and verse 23.
Reading from the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 26 and verse 23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man.
The Bible says a wicked woman is given as a portion or as a reward or as payment to a what?
Wicked man.
To a wicked man. So if you're a wicked man, meaning that you're not applying the commandments, you're not applying counsel, you don't listen to counsel, you don't take on counsel, you just do whatever you want to do, then you're being wicked because you're not applying godly wisdom. What you're doing is you're doing whatever you want to do. And because you're doing whatever you want to do, it means you're not going to apply the commandments. And when you don't apply the commandments, guess what happens? Read that from the top.
A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man.
This is what's going to be your portion, a wicked woman. Because a woman multiplies whatever you give to her. You give a woman sperm, she gives you in 9 months, she gives you a baby. You give a woman money, she gives you groceries. Or you give her groceries and she makes a meal. You give her a house, she makes a home. She multiplies whatever you give to her. But if you give her wicked ways and wickedness, and you have a wicked nature about yourself as a man, and keeping the Most High's commandments is not a priority to you, then guess what she don't give you when you give her wickedness? She don't give you hell. Hell's up in that house. So it's a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man. Read on.
But a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Lord.
Now, a woman that is modest, chaste, a woman who is shamefaced, that's the kind of woman that's given to a man that takes counsel, applies counsel, keeps the commandments, holds himself in diligent fear of the Lord, who applied the steps, the righteous steps. He proved that woman and that woman proved him. They proved one another. So now, they live in a righteous marriage. But guess what? You don't end up with a wicked woman, right? Because you're a wicked man. A wicked man is one who do not want to do things by the book. You want to do things the back door way. You want to do things your own way. You want to do things the way your opinion tells you should do things. Your thought pattern. So that you're going to be given a wicked woman. That's what the Bible says. And that should be your just reward. That's what, in other words, the Bible is saying, this is given as a portion. In other words, that's what you deserve. It's given to you as a portion. That's your portion. That's your due thing that you deserve. The Most High is saying, you deserve a wicked woman if you're a wicked man. You understand that? But guess what? You're going to end up with a wicked woman when you do what? Stand out wrong. You can't teach the woman in this truth if you start out wrong. It's very hard to correct the steps if you start out wrong. You got to go through some serious counseling if you start out wrong. I'm not saying it's totally irreparable, but it's very challenging if you started out wrong. That's why you got to become best friends. At that stage, it's not just about carnality and physical attributes. The only reason why y'all got together because y'all was initially burning in y'all lust. So when y'all then fulfill y'all lust, what's left? It's like there's two individuals just staring at each other like, okay, we've been in this thing for how long? Over 2 years? What's left? What's next? He can't lead you and you can't submit to him because he don't know where he's going. He's not holding himself diligently before the Lord. So guess what's going to happen to her? She going to turn up the wickedness because you're not leading her. Any woman that's not being led, she going to turn up the wickedness. She's going to be doing everything that you tell her not to do. And even if you are telling her to do things, it's not going to be according to the Bible. You're going to be instructing her to do wickedly. So there's like two wicked persons living in a house together. None better than none. Blind leading the blind. That's why the proven stage is so important. So you could know, should I even waste my time with this person? And you could walk away. You could walk away and keep. You can keep your diligence to yourself. You can keep your dignity. You can't keep your dignity if when you meet that person, the first thing you know is jumping each other's bones. Because now you realize, whoa, we jump bones, and now this person ain't for me. No, let me just ease up the back door, let me go on to somebody else. Guess what? By the time you don't go on and move on and move on and move on, next person to next person, you don't give yourself to 20 persons doing that method. That's not the method. Prove first. Don't jump bones first, because a lot of people end up in a situation where they realize, this person ain't for me, but guess what? It's too late. Let me tell you something. The Bible says a woman not supposed to leave a man once she married to him. A lot of women say, you know what? I don't care. I understand I don't want to be here. I'm gone. She's going to get judgment for that thing. Because she didn't know the scripture. Or if she did know the scripture, she does not care about that scripture. You know, she don't care about the Most High's commandments enough. Now, we're not saying for a woman to stay or stick around should a man be beating on her. She has to get herself out of that situation, because there are situations where men beat up on women and figure, oh, the Bible says you can't leave me. The Bible says you can't leave me. The Bible says you can't leave me. So you got to stay. No. A woman, that's it. Couple can be apart for a time until they reconcile. Keyword, reconcile. Reconcile. So while they're apart, they're supposed to be doing what? Getting better. Working on each other individually to come back. You understand? To reconcile. So a lot of men would use that scripture and say, oh, the Bible says you can't leave me, you can't leave me. Right? 1 Corinthians 7, you can't leave me. You gotta stay. So you must stay and take knocked out. And that's why a lot of, let me say this about, when you push a woman far beyond the line of scrimmage, it's only so much she will take before she leaves. And sometimes that doesn't even go for physical violence. Sometimes mentally, when a woman reaches the point where she cannot take whatever is being disturbed in the house, enough or too much, she's gone. And let me tell you men something. Women mentally check out before they physically check out. A woman is done with you in her mind years or months even before she decides to step foot out that door. She's going to check out mentally. So the moment you see her gone, trust me, she already left in her head. Long time. She don't dream about how she don't pack her bags and gone. You come home one day, the bags then right there. You're like, whoa, how you could do this? You don't know she's been planning this thing for such a long time. But guess what? If y'all were best friends, it wouldn't get to that point where she feel like she need to leave because y'all would have been able to do what? Work it out. Y'all would have been valuing one another. You wouldn't be taking her for granted. She wouldn't feel like she need to leave. Because y'all went through the proper steps. Proving. You understand that? Good. So, you gotta learn each other's true nature. And then guess what? Do you know during the courting stage, you could tell whether or not somebody is like liable to jump ship? If you're paying attention, when you are proving, and time has passed and situations happen, you could tell, wait, this situation happened and the person was just willing to walk away from the whole situation that happened with them and just leave it high and dry. You could apply that over time. Should they keep doing stuff like that all the time? You realize, wait, this person here ain't reliable. Wait. This person here ain't trustworthy because you've taken the time to approve. Then guess what? Should something happen in the relationship, let's say you do go down that road when y'all get married, do you know whether or not this person would actually stay in the marriage as they're supposed to, or if they're going to be a person who, as the sign of trouble comes, they're ready to just jump ship and pew, pew. That's how the cartoons ever say when they're running, pew. That's how things go, man. If you don't prove a person, you would never know if they're that type of person. If they would just dip out on you. Because I've seen in marriages, people dipping out on people when the other person needed them most. They just dip. And they wondered to themselves, how this person could do this to me? I never thought in a million years this person could ever do this to me. You know why? Because when you first met them, you met their representative. You did not meet the real them. There's a saying, Colonel, he would say this: see me and live with me, two different things. In other words, when you see somebody, you might be thinking, oh, this is a nice chatting young man. Oh, he look good. I can live with him. And he thinking the same, like, oh, that's a nice, oh, I can be with her. But I guess what? The moment y'all cohabitate together, y'all like cat and dog inside you. Can't get along. Your best day is when you ain't got to come home early. You gotta be on the streets, chilling out somewhere than to be home. Because you know who's waiting for you. And nagging woman who will be like, and because you ain't trying to hear that, the Bible said, a contentious woman, a man rather sleep on the roof rather than to be in the home with a contentious woman. But if you had proven this person, you would have seen what? Tendencies. You cannot pick up tendencies in 2 months. You cannot pick up tendencies in 6 months. You cannot pick up tendencies sometimes even in 8 months, because some people play the role very well. They're good actors. Grammy-nominated, award-winning actors. They play the role well. They're good liars. They're good cheaters. They know how to hide their tracks well. And they know how to do it professionally. Grammy-nominated, award-winning actors. They deserve Grammys because they play the role very well. Till one day, you wake up and realize, wow, it's either one, this person changed, or two, this is how it was all along. And I just couldn't see it. You would have seen it had you taken the time to prove a friend. This is the wisdom from the Bible. If you don't apply this, eventually you're going to wake up next to a demon wondering, how did I get here? You know that song Tammy sing? How does that go? How did you get here? How did you get here? How did you get here? Let me tell you how y'all got there. Y'all saw each other, y'all were wrestling, you were just a boyfriend girlfriend thing, bam, and then now you realize I live with a demon. Right? So now the proving stage. So now we're going on to the next stage, right? The next stage. So the proving stage is very, very important. Do not overlook that stage. You could walk away when you're in the proving stage because y'all have not done the do as yet. And now you can retain your dignity. Sisters, let me tell you something. This dating culture that we have here, get rid of that mentality, because every time you give yourself to a man, that's adultery. Every other man you give yourself to, that is considered to be adultery. When you give yourself to a man in sexual intercourse, that's considered adultery. You understand that? So this dating culture, you gotta get that culture on your mind. We gotta go back to the culture of the Bible. You understand? So we're showing you the steps that our culture is giving you the wisdom on, right? So we said the proving stage. And let me tell you, a lot of people feel as though it's a very light thing. Well, I was dating you for 6 months and it didn't work out. So, you know, my mother told me there's more fish in the sea, on to the next. Let me tell you something, your mother wicked because she ain't keeping the commandments. It is what it is. When you first come into this truth, you're going to realize that your friends and family members are wicked. You gotta call it like it is. When you're not keeping the commandments, the Bible calls that wickedness. So as much as you love your mother and father, and your brother and your sister and your friends, you gotta realize that they are wicked. Doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that you don't want them to come into the truth. It doesn't mean that you should not still honor your parents, your father and your mother. Of course, you have to honor your father and your mother, of course. But understand that they're wicked. The sooner you understand that, the sooner you can now start rightfully dividing the word of truth. Meaning, mommy tell me there's no fishes in the sea, but the Bible tells me the only man that I live with, that's my husband. So am I going to go with what mommy said? Or I'm going to go with what the Bible said? You understand that? The Bible said, we perish for lack of knowledge. Your mother didn't know this knowledge, so that's why she raised you up by telling you, there's no fishes in the sea, don't worry, man. He left you, go ahead, miss. Guess what? If she was raising you up in the knowledge of this Bible, you wouldn't just be casually dating either. You wouldn't be. You would have the understanding that the man that does the do with you, that is your husband. You understand that? Good. So, keep that in mind, sisters. When you prove him, you can walk away with your dignity when you guys haven't laid together. And you realize down the road, you realize 6 months down into the proving stage, you're proving this brother and you realize, wait, he just a bag of talk. He ain't really about the work of the Most High. He just was trying to get me in bed. And then I realized how he reacted when I brought up a certain topic. He acted even very violently over the phone. Now, like I said earlier, that may just be one incident, but then you have to do what? See the pattern. Usually patterns left uninterrupted, they continue and get progressively worse. That's how patterns go. So once you notice a pattern of something, and it occurs and reoccurs and reoccurs and reoccurs, and guess what? It gets progressively worse. But guess what? If all you're thinking about in the proving stage is, I don't know what kind of food he like to eat honey roasted peanuts. If that's the only thing on your mind at that point in time, and you're ignoring all the important things that you're supposed to be taking note of, like how is he reacting to certain things? If you are focused on linking up in person more than really getting to know who this person is, and guess what's going to happen? you're going to be focused on jumping the balls more than actually getting to know the person. Proving a friend. Okay? So, now that you've successfully proven a friend, you realize this is somebody who actually, you can picture yourself spending your life with this person. Time has passed, and you realize this is a diligent person in the truth. My purpose and their purpose, they coincide, they go together. I can see myself being with this person. They're dependable, they're trustworthy, they are who they say they are. They're not perfect, but I'm willing to work with this person. I'm not saying when you're proving somebody, you're proving them to be perfect, because persons are not perfect. But you're willing to do that. To picture yourself being with this person based on the things you're willing to live with. The things you're willing to accept based on the things you've proven. Once you're willing to, you say, you know what? This person, they ain't perfect, but I'm willing to see myself with this person down the road. Now, you're ready for the courting stage now. So the next stage will be the courting stage. Now, both persons have now proven. Okay? Good. So there shouldn't be any surprises. I said shouldn't, but sometimes there is. Sometimes that person's true nature comes out during not the proven stage, but the courting stage, because now the person feels like, aha, I got you. I got you? You ain't gonna know it? Now my true self. I don't care if my true self comes out now. I done got you. Ain't nothing you can do. I got you. You ain't gonna know me. I got you. Right? So now, the courting stage, there shouldn't be any surprises there. Shouldn't. I use that word very loosely. Should not. Hopefully. Okay? Because you're already proven, and you've already seen the tendencies. You've seen whatever red flags, decided to stick with it or not, and now you know what to expect. So there's no surprises during the courting stage. So now this stage should be the stage that leads to what? Betrothal. Does anybody know what betrothal is? Betrothal. Or to betroth. You know what that means? You know what that means? Betrothal. Betrothal means just as simple as an archaic word for engagement. Engage. To be promised to. Okay? So now, that's the stage. The courting stage is the stage that should lead to betrothal. So with this stage, both the man and the woman, they have taken steps to prove in one another, and they have both done their due diligence, and they intend to start courting with the intent of marriage. Courting with the intent of marriage. So now we reach the state of courting. At this stage, still should not be any sex. At this stage, there still should not be any sex. You understand that? Shouldn't be any sex, or y'all shacking up alone together. No. That's just to be on the safe side, because let me tell you something. People do fall in and out of courtship all the time. I've seen it. They make a big announcement. Yes, I'd like to announce me and this person were courting 6 months down the road. Wait, you and this person wasn't courted? Yes, but it didn't work out. But what happened? It didn't work out. So people do fall into in and out of courtship, but guess what? Once you reach the courting stage, right? It's not quite the betrothal stages yet, but it's the stage that leads to betrothal. You understand that? So that stage still should be linking up and alone and, courting. Y'all can go on what you call double dates together in the presence of other couples. You understand that? And that's just out of wisdom. Okay? Because people fall in and out of courtship all the time. And when that happens, right, and you get sexual or intimate with someone, right? And then you realize this ain't somebody you want to marry anymore, and guess what? There's one problem. Go back to Exodus 16 and 22. There's one problem. You know you're courting this person. Now you are linking up, shacking up. Nobody knows. Right? Right? Now we are linking up, and guess what? Guess what happens? Now you realize you're drawn to this person because of this. Read that. Exodus 16 and verse 22. 22 and 16? Sorry, go ahead. 22.
And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, and lie with her.
But if a man entice a maid and lie with her, and she not engaged, read.
He shall surely endow her to be his wife.
No, you're going to marry that woman. So you're quoting up, and now you're linking up, shacking up, behind closed doors, and guess what? And you slip up, and you realize this ain't somebody you wanted to marry. Guess what happens? You have to marry that person. You have to. The man must marry her now. Right? So now, is it rolling? Okay. So now, at this stage, you want to do fun activities together, right? During the courting stage. Take it slow. I cannot reiterate this enough. Take it slow. There's no need to rush. Listen, if you feel like this person is for you, then guess what? You don't need to rush. If you truly feel like this person was meant for you, then guess what? That's even proof more that there's no need to rush. That's it on that scripture? Okay, watch. So now, like we said, people fall in and out of courtship all the time. But like Exodus, what that was, 22 and 16 says, if you do the do, then now that person belongs to you. Okay? So doing fun activities together in groups to prove to each other and the Most High that it's not just about sex. That it's not just about lust. That it's not just about physical things. You understand that? During that courting stage. You gotta prove to each other also that it's not about lusting. Because if this person is supposed to be your best friend, and every moment you get all you want to do is jump the bones during that courting stage, and tell yourself, it may not be as righteous of a reason that you really are taking the sister for. Let's go to Proverbs 6 and verse 25. Proverbs 6 and verse 25. You got to be able to prove to one another that it's not just about carnal, lustful, sexual thoughts. Most relationships that start that way, they never end well. Unless they get some serious counseling somewhere along the way. So we're going to read from the book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 25.
Reading from the book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 25. Lust of after her beauty in thy heart.
The Bible said, don't lust after a woman's beauty in your heart.
Neither let her take thee with her eyelids.
Don't let her take you with her eyelids. Now, let's read the first part of that again.
Lust not after her beauty in thine heart.
As a brother, you're not supposed to just be lusting after a woman after her beauty. Because, question, when you see a woman and you just, the only thing that's making you attracted to her is just her beauty only. Right? Just her beauty only. Are you thinking to yourself, you want to marry that sister? No. You're thinking about having physical relations with that sister. So the Bible said, don't be lusting for a woman's beauty, because relationships that are just based on physical attributes only, they have nothing going for themselves. Nothing. Because what happens when, let's say the both of y'all get together in a relationship and it was just about physical attributes. What happens should one of y'all get in an accident, get maimed, get disfigured, y'all ain't looking the same, y'all get older. Y'all ain't looking the same way y'all used to look. Somebody gain weight, somebody get baby weight on them, somebody get a beer belly on them. They ain't looking the same way. Right? Brothers' hairline start going back, receding. Right? Brothers start getting wrinkles in their face. So the beauty never stays, beauty fades. But the Bible said, don't take somebody initially just for their beauty. So what happens when you take somebody just for beauty only? Then that is a superficial relationship. That relationship isn't based on anything substantial. It's not based on anything firm. There's no foundation in that relationship when you're just taking somebody just for physical attributes only. You understand that? Read the second part of that verse now. So it says, don't just lust after a woman with her beauty. Read.
Neither let her take thee with her eyelids.
Don't let her take you with her eyelids, because women can be very seductive. Women like to put on these nowadays, now I'm not saying anything wrong with the woman wing. There's no law that says a woman can't put on some eyelashes, but you ever see some women with the, what do you call them, the broom ones, the out here? They could fly off with them right into the sky, right? Because women know that when it comes to eyelashes, when they look at you and they blink them, they know that that's a form of enticing a man. That's a form of seducing a man. When a woman look at you, she blink and then she nice and long, and then all you see is the flutter in your face. The Bible tells you a woman fluttering her eyelids at you, that could seduce you. So when you're looking at a woman and all you could see is just her physical attributes, there's nothing about her mind, her spirit, whether or not she could become a righteous woman or not. You're not concerned with that. The only thing God is concerned with, yeah, boy, she looks sexy, boy. You see them eyelash? There's about 5 inches on them eyelash, yeah, boy. She's the one, you know. But how you know she's the one? Man, you see how she dressed, man? She got on the shot and everything. She's the one. You sure she's the one? You think, is she a righteous sister? Man, I ain't care about that, you know. Man, she look horrible. Tight up thing, man. The moment you go with a sister like that, you get the most migraine headache out of this world. Because you're thinking that when you go with a woman like that, she gonna stop being that way because it's not you with her. You know what she gonna tell you? You met me this way. You met me this way. So, you can't change me. If my family members can't change me, you won't change me? You understand that? So you didn't consider not taking a woman for lust, for her beauty. No, but I'm not saying a woman shouldn't have some beauty about her that attracts you, but don't let that be the only thing. Yes, husbands want wives that are fair to look at. In other words, beautiful to look at. But don't let that be the basis. I repeat, don't let that be the basis on which you want to be with this woman, because you're going to just want to be with her for physical reasons, sexual reasons. You understand? Let's get the book of Tobit, chapter 8 and verse 7. Okay, Tobit 8 and verse 7. So we're talking about the courting stage. This stage is still a stage where you got to refrain and abstain from sexual acts, because once you have sex with that person is yours. You understand that? It's supposed to be yours. Tobit, chapter 8 and verse 7.
Reading from the book of Tobit, chapter 8 and verse 7. And now, O Lord, I take not this my sister for lust.
I take not my sister for what?
Lust.
You're not supposed to take a sister for lust. That's not supposed to be the thing that makes you want to be attracted to this person, because lust is carnal. Lust is superficial. Lust doesn't last. When you're in lust with somebody, you will wake up one day and realize you're no longer lusting for this person. You don't get what you want, right? So now you're ready to do it. Move on. Usually brothers who take in sisters for lust, the moment they get what they want, out of her, on to the next. That's against the Bible. Because once you live with a sister, she's supposed to become your wife. That's you consummating a marriage right there. So read together at the top.
And now, O Lord, I take not this my sister for lust, But uprightly.
But what?
Uprightly.
But what?
Uprightly.
You're supposed to take a sister uprightly. Meaning, when you meet a sister, the first thing that's supposed to be on your mind is that, can this woman be a righteous woman of the Most High, a righteous wife, and a righteous sister to other sisters? Uprightly, meaning according to the commandments. If the first thing you're thinking is, boy, so sexy she look, boy, she hot enough. All the wrong reasons. That's going to be a relationship that's going to be bound for disaster, bound for failure. Because you started off wrong. Anything that started off wrong is going to end wrong. Okay? So it says, don't take a sister for lust. Take her uprightly. That's the line, read on.
Therefore, mercifully ordained that we may become aged together.
That we may become what?
Aged together.
A lot of people can't get aged together. Why? Why people cannot withstand the test of time together? They just become two persons living in a house, upset and mad at each other every day. Let's say you all have children together, and the children, mind you, the relationship didn't start off the right way. You didn't prove each other as a friend. You did not become best friends. You got children. Now, the business of raising the children, y'all now finally raise the children to adulthood. So y'all are busy in the relationship. Now, a lot of people think raising the children then together is the essence of the marriage. No. That's just a job you have to do within the marriage. So a lot of people get so consumed with raising the children that's the only thing that's holding that marriage together, is the raising of those children. Carrying them to football practice, ballet practice, choir practice. So you're so consumed with all these things. You pick up little Johnny from school today? Okay, cool. I picked him up. You got another class this afternoon? Okay. So y'all doing that well. But guess what? Y'all relationship on the rocks. So the only thing that's holding that relationship together is carrying little Johnny to practice, picking up little Susie from ballet class. But guess what? When little Susie and little Johnny grow up into adults and they move out the house and they live in there no more, who's left in the house now? The two miserable people then who cannot get along. And that's one of the reasons why people can't age well together. Because the relationship started wrong. And the only thing that was holding the relationship together was the raising of the children, the upbringing of the children. So that was a job within itself. But now the children, them are grown. Mommy and daddy now live back in the household together with their miserable self, and they cannot get along. Can't get along. Because they're not best friends. They were never best friends. The children was the only thing that was holding that thing together. But children gone, no, children gone off to live their own life. Get their own relationships. Get their own husbands and wives. Believe it or not, I've seen persons in their middle age married for 20 years, decide, children gone, they're gone. Can't live with this woman. You've seen that, right? You've seen that many, many times. I'm pretty sure you've seen that as well. People married for so many years. You wonder, wait, you're married for 26 years? And now at this moment in time, y'all decide, y'all going, they're going, yeah. We can't live together. We gone. Can't get along. Because the children was the only thing that was holding the relationship by a thread. You understand that? So, during the courting stage, it's very, very important that even during that stage, you're not rusting, you're not taking each other for rust. Okay? Don't get behind leadership back, shacking up alone, doing things to speed up the process with a proper counsel. Proper counsel. Because guess what? Your leaders know whether or not a brother or sister is ready for that stage of marriage. I repeat, your leadership knows whether or not a particular brother or sister is ready. You may think you're ready, But leadership could tell you, listen, that brother there, we could see he not diligent. We could see he reliable. We could see at this stage of his life right now, he's not ready for marriage. The sister may feel like, well, I'm ready because, he told me he wants to be with me and me only. You're ready. But Kat, I think you're not ready. You're not ready. We could see you're not ready. Kat, I feel in my heart, you're not ready. It's not about your emotions, whether or not you feel you're ready. And this is going to happen when persons come up into this schoolroom. A lot of them will listen to counsel, yes, but a lot of them will not listen to counsel. They will do whatever they want to do. But we're giving you the keys to a righteous marriage so you can apply this for yourself, so you can experience a righteous marriage. You understand that? So, like we said, don't double dip behind leadership back. We know whether or not a particular brother or sister is ready for that. Okay? So at this quarter stage, both persons should be building themselves up. Building themselves up in who? In the Most High. Learning the commandments, learning how they both can be the best person for each other. Okay? They should be also learning, right, how they can be the best spouse to one another. Because you're courting with the intent to marry. That's the intent. That's the end result. You understand that? So, during the courting stage, you must also count the cost. Count the cost of your duties and responsibilities. A lot of people get married and they have no idea of what their expectations in the marriage is supposed to be according to the Bible. They know society's expectations of them, but yeah, they're supposed to be the man and just come home and bring home the money and put the money on the table. And they know society's expectations, but they don't know the Bible's expectations. They don't know the Most High's expectations. So you cannot build any house and do not consider the cost and do not count the cost. Give me that in Luke actually. 14 and verse 28. Luke 14 and verse 28. You must count the cost during the courting stage. You understand that? You must count that cost. And what do we mean by count the cost? You've got to count the cost of your duties and responsibilities, because husbands have duties and responsibilities and the wives have duties and responsibilities, but you must know what each other's responsibilities are in order to fulfill those things. So read that for me, please.
Read from the book of Luke, chapter 14, verse 28.
Read.
Which of you intended to build a tower? Sit it not down first and count the cost.
Sit it not up first and count the cost. Which one are you actually talking about? Well, I want to get married to this person, and you ain't count the cost, what it's going to cost in terms of your duties and responsibilities. Because let me tell you something, the wedding is for one day, but the marriage lasts the rest of your lives. So some people get caught up in the fanciness of the wedding in terms of the ceremony. All the flowers got to be this color, and it has to have purple drapes, and I want all the bridesmaids to be in purple matching drapes, and then I want the cake to be a 12-foot cake, and then after the cake, then you have the groomsmen coming in the same purple ties, and then I want the purple flowers, and then, now all that is nice and fine and dandy, no problem. And lovely ceremony is always good. But here's the thing, the ceremony only lasts one day. The marriage is for the rest of your lives. So if you're not counting the cost of something before you get into it, then tell yourself you're not applying the wisdom of the Bible. It says, which of you intending to build a house and you have not sit and actually calculate what it's going to cost? What is it going to cost for me to fulfill my duties of marriage? Am I willing, as a wife, to always obey this man? Am I willing, as a husband, to take the rap and the responsibility if the marriage fails, no matter whose fault it is? It's my fault. Some people don't consider the cost because they don't understand the dynamics of marriage. Now, read it for it up.
Reading verse 25, 28. For which of you intended to build a tower? Sitting not down first and counting the cost.
So picture the tower being this marriage that you are building together. Right? You are building a tower together. Right? You gotta first sit down and really assess what it's gonna take to go inside building this marriage, building this tower. In other words, you must understand the dynamics or the components of marriage before you go and build that tower. You must know what goes into a marriage before you get into a marriage. You got to count the cost. Many persons don't count the cost. Why? Because they're not aware that there's a cost to be counted. So they just rush in. They just say, listen, fools rush in. Fools rush in. You don't want to be a fool and just rush into something, man. You understand that? This is you got to first sit down and actually assess the cost. What does it mean to assess the cost? Consider what the dynamics of marriage are, the components of the marriage are going to be. That you're going to have responsibilities and she's going to have responsibilities. But guess what? If you don't know what those responsibilities are, then there's no way to count the costs. If you don't know what currency, money, is needed to build those blocks, to buy those blocks, you can't buy those blocks if you don't have the right currency. So, read on again, it says, which of you
intended to build a tower? Sitting not down first and counting the cost, whether you have sufficient to finish it.
Whether you have sufficient to finish it. Do you have what's sufficient to fulfill the duties of marriage? Do you? We're going to get to that part. Do you have what's sufficient to fulfill the duties of marriage? You can't just, I'm going to rush into something and you don't know how you're going to fulfill this thing. Right? So during the courtship stage, you've got to count the cost. You must count the cost. And I ain't talking about money. Money is an aspect of it, but I ain't talking about money. You understand? Good. So now, we get to the betrothal stage. Okay, the betrothal stage. Betrothal is spelled B-E-T-R-O-T-H-A-L. B-E-T-R-O-T-H-A-L. Betrothal stage. Now, at this stage, this is where the man, now he gotta do his manly duty. By doing what? Now, understand this. In our culture and tradition as Israelites, the culture and the tradition is that we ask the woman's father. We ask the woman's father for permission to take his daughter as a wife. That's our culture, that's our tradition. You understand that? So betrothal is a promise to marry. And once you promise to marry, there's no turning back. Because you're promising to the father, to her, and to the master. There's no turning back. There's no, well, we betrothed and we ain't betrothed no more. No. According to the Bible, once you betrothed, there's no turning back. You understand that? So the tradition is that you ask her father. You must be a man. You must ask her father. Right? Because remember, her fathers who have jurisdiction over her. Her fathers who have rulership over her. Her fathers who is her caretaker. The father is the one that's responsible for her. There's no man responsible for her at that point in time other than her father. You're asking to relieve him of that responsibility by asking his permission to take her hand in marriage. You understand that? So, you're promising to that father that you're going to take care, look after, lead, guide, teach, protect, right? And usually, they will give what we call a dowry, a marriage dowry. Anybody know what a marriage dowry is? A dowry, D-O-W-R-Y, is whatever the father requests. Let's say the father, back in those times, this is when, like, you know, we had resources. Israel had resources. The father said, well, okay, you want my daughter in marriage? Cool, no problem. I want Give me 50 cattle, 20 sheep, maybe 3 oxen, 20 shekels of silver. Man, put on a top upon that there, man. Put on about 3 billion and go on that there for me, man. And guess what? You gotta come up with that if you want to. You gotta come up with that. You gotta give him that, right? That was the doorway, because it's a transaction. You're going to him for permission. He's giving consent, and he's requesting that you give him as payment for his daughter whatever he requests. And you must fulfill that request by giving him what he asks for. And if you didn't have the money, you have to go work and, get to that bag and get that bag and come back and know you could take his daughter's hand in marriage, right? So now, that was a record, but now today, we don't have an inheritance because of what? We went into captivity, right? So we don't have resources and an inheritance like that. So, but that's our culture. We would ask the father, right? So, because a man has already contacted the father and asked the daughter's hand in marriage, and he's agreed based on his terms, the husband now has to now agree to take care and look after her as her father did. You understand that? So betrothal is, and we look this up in the dictionary, right? The synonyms for betrothal is promise, pledge, contracted, bound. So when you promise, you're promising her father and the Most High to lead, guide, teach, protect, and provide. You're pledging. You're making a pledge before the Most High to do this. So like I said, once you pledge, there's no turning back. You can't go make a pledge, because the Most High said, even when you make a pledge and you ain't fulfill the pledge, He's going to require that thing of you. You understand that? I think that's in the book of Deuteronomy. If you make a pledge and you don't fulfill that pledge, He's going to require that thing of you. Right? So the synonyms for betrothal is promise, pledge, here's the word, contracted. So when you're betrothed, you're promised, right? You're contracted. That's a form of contract. You and the father already had discussions. Y'all shake hands on it. That's the form of a contract. You understand that? And it says bound. That's another word, bound. The two are bound together now. I'm going to show you something. Watch this. Leviticus 19 and verse 20. Watch this. Leviticus 19 and verse 20. Leviticus 19 and verse 20. Once you are betrothed, you are good as married. There's no turning back from that. You understand that?
Reading from the book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 20.
Watch this.
And whosoever lies carnally with a woman that is a bondmaid, betrothed to an husband,
she's betrothed. So whoever lies with a woman that's betrothed, man, she engaged, right? She's promised, right? Watch this.
and not at all redeemed, nor freedom given her, she shall be scourged. They shall not be put to death, because she was not free.
She was not free. You understand that? So a woman who is promised or betrothed, she's not free. She's contracted. She's bound. A man already pledged and promised to marry her. You understand that? So let's look at another scripture really quick. Exodus 34 and verse 12. Exodus 34 and verse 12. So you must ask a father. That is the right way to do it. Okay, when you get to this stage where you're betrothed, you gotta ask that father, man. A lot of brothers want to do things the back door way. You gotta do it the way the Bible says you should do it. You ask that woman's father. Otherwise, you're not going to be respected. You understand? You could bring shame upon the family like that as well. You're doing things the back door way. They're not going to respect you. Imagine you coming over to the family functions and family, things that's happening, and you didn't even have the decency or the manhood or the wherewithal to go to her father, but yet you're here dealing with this woman as if she is your wife, but you didn't go to the father. You're not supposed to do that. So read that for me, Exodus 34 and verse 12.
Reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 34 and verse 12.
So we understand that, yes, our culture has been lost. Yes, our traditions have been taken away from us, but we got to come back to our traditions as Israelites. Understand? Read that.
Verse 12. Take heed to thyself, lest thou make a covenant with the inhabitants of the land whither thou goest, lest it be for a snare in the midst of thee.
Read verse 14 now.
For thou shalt worship no other God, for the Lord, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God.
Wait, that's Exodus 34? Give me 1 second. Give me Exodus 2 and verse 2. I think that was the wrong one. Yeah, Exodus 2 and verse 2. Exodus 2 and verse 2. Yeah, 2 and verse 2. 2. Wait, Exodus 2 and verse 2. No. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Let's see if this actually. Okay, give me Judges 1. Give me the book of Judges, chapter 1. I'll come back to that. Judges chapter 1. And then come down to verse 12. And verse 12.
Reading from the book of Judges, chapter 1 and verse 12. And Caleb said, he that smiteth Kajet Sophia, and take it, to him will I give Asher, my daughter, to wife.
I will give Asher my daughter to wife. So fathers gave their daughters, you understand that? As wives. You understand that? You must go to the father, because he's the one that gives. He gives his daughter as a wife. You understand that? As a matter of fact, go back to Exodus 22. I'll show you something. Exodus 22 and then come down to verse 16.
Reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 22 and verse 16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her.
Shall surely what?
Endow her.
Shall surely what?
Endow her.
Shall surely endow her
To be his wife.
to be his wife. Now read the next part. Right? If
her father utterly refuse to give her unto him,
you hear that? Read that part again.
if her father utterly refuse to give her unto him,
If her father refuse to give her to him, read,
he shall pay money according to the dowry of the virgin.
he still got to pay the dowry. He still got to pay whatever the father requests. If the father refuses. So the father could still refuse, but the man will still have to come about that money. You understand that? He would still have to endow her to be his wife, but the father couldn't refuse if he wanted to refuse, because the father is the one who is in charge of the woman at that point before the man takes her to be his wife. Right? So now, This is what we got to understand, right? The father is the one who has to give the permission. The permission. Okay? But read that part where it says endow, go ahead.
You shall take what.
No, back up to
If a man tries to obey that is not before and lie with her, he shall surely endow her.
He shall surely
his wife. He shall surely endow her.
Endow her
to be his wife.
Does anybody know what it means to endow? He shall surely endow. Take a while, guess. Endow. Because this is one of the stages when it comes to, the betrothal stage. You gotta endow. You gotta endow. If you was to guess, what does that mean? Take a wild guess. To make her? No. A wild guess. Endow. No. You gotta prepare, man. The meaning of endow is to provide with a quality, ability, or asset. Right? To give or bequeath an income or property to a person. So when you are betrothed, the endowment part that a man has to fulfill is very important, because guess what? We just endow means to provide with ability or asset. When you endow her, you have to provide her with the ability to do what? Live somewhere. The ability to do what? Have a certain quality of life. You're taking her out, she found a place. Do you remember what I said? Where y'all gonna live? Underneath a boat? Y'all gonna live underneath a boat? You're providing with a quality, ability, or asset. Some men talk about, I engaged in the system and they got no idea of where they're gonna live. Where they're gonna live, furthermore, he don't even got a job. He ain't got a job, he ain't working nowhere, he ain't making no money. You cannot provide for a wife. You don't have the ability to even endow her. He said you shall surely endow her. Meaning you're going to prepare. What are some of the things you're supposed to prepare before you all cohabitate together? Before you all live together? To live together, you gotta what? Have somewhere to live. If you don't know where to live, when you take in this room and you father house, and you ain't got nowhere to get in this room, where do you get it? Don't you know? On that bed? That way we're going to be, let's make do. We're going to live on it, we're going to be alright now. We live on the bridge. We're going to live on the bridge, like two leprechauns. I want me going. Now, you've got to endow her, man. You understand that? Meaning that during this betrothal stage, or during this engagement stage, you're supposed to be getting busy, man. This ain't the time to be having cold feet, because you already promised to marry her. You already asked her father for her hand in marriage. He already agreed. He already gave his blessing. Ain't no turning back. You joined to this woman. We just read, if a woman engaged and a man sleep with her, he could be put to death because she already promised to another man. Right? So now, when you're endowing a woman, you're preparing. You're making sure she doesn't have to live. You're making sure she has a good quality of life, because guess what? I want to say quality of life, that's relative, based on what the man could, afford. Everybody ain't going to be able to afford the same thing, but the most important thing is he got to be able to provide something. You can't take a woman out, she found a house, and you bring her to nothing. You're taking her from something to nothing. You can't do that. That means you're not ready. I was standing to Steve and say, you're not ready for this yet, boy. You're not ready. So brothers need to get themselves ready before they can say, I'm engaged. to this sister, or I'm promised to marry this sister. You gotta endow. Where y'all gonna live? You don't have some plans to use? Because you know some brothers, they might have a place. Let's say some brothers don't have a place. And that might have the spoons, the forks, the plates, the cups, they're not in there. Now, that might have been cool because it was just him. That's fine. He might have not need them things. He might have just used plastic cups. That's cool for him. But when a woman comes to live and cohabitate, you must have things prepared so that she could function there, man. She comes in like no plates, no spoons. You say, baby, no, let's eat with it. Let's do like this. Come, let's master this. Just come, baby, scoop it, scoop it left, scoop. Right, there you got it. Now you got it. There you go. Let's go. Let's cheers together. Cheers. Let's eat. You can't do it. She can wonder like, wait. He took me out my father's house where I was having a certain quality in life there to bring me to this. You gotta endow. Now I'm not saying you gotta be rich. Of course not. Everybody has different, quality of life going on. But you must be able to provide something. Something. Because the man has responsibilities. And this is one of the first parts of the responsibility. You gotta endow. You gotta endow. You gotta have something for her to come to. You understand that? She can't stand under the bridge. You know? Is y'all gonna have internet there? Is y'all gonna have lights there? Or y'all gonna be lighting candles? And a lot of people get sideswiped and get catch off guard because they did not go through the proper steps. So now they end up in a situation where they say, oh no, I can't get to this. I mean, I'm stuck here. I didn't know we wasn't going to have no lights. I guess I'll have to get accustomed to this. There's no lights here. Or you don't have no forks or anything. Okay, cool. I guess we can just scoop it to the left and change it. We're going to, the man is supposed to prepare those things. So when she comes there, she has some quality of life that she could at least make that man, she could be pleased to dwell with him. You understand that? She could be pleased to dwell there and she's comfortable there so that she could at least be a good wife towards him because she's in good spirits, right? And she's, she's in a good spiritual space, right? So you gotta endow. We're wrapping up soon. So now we come to the other stage, right? Well, before we get to that stage, like we said, when it comes to the endowment, make ready. You gotta know where you're gonna live, man. The quality of life in your life. Make sure you articulate that to her early. Don't swipe up and say, well, maybe I would have mentioned to you that electricity before I got together. I would have mentioned it, but I didn't really think it was important this. She looked at you like, what? You mean, how could electricity in your house not being important? I want to mention it, but right? So you gotta articulate these things to one another. You gotta have these talks, man. Right? Good. Endowment. So you gotta make ready. Right? How you gonna survive? You gonna allow your wife to work? You're gonna, these are the things that y'all are talking about, how y'all gonna function together, right? So now this is wisdom. In this day and age, couples need to get proof of purchases. After you talk to her father, and he agrees and he gives his blessing, you need to get a proof of purchase because we're living in a wicked world whereby brothers will just run off on the plane and say, I was never married to her. Nonsense. Me and her, we was never together. I dated her for a couple of months, but after that I just decided to, she cheated on me, so I just left her. This is wisdom. Any of you brothers here, you have a wife or plan together with, get the proof of purchase. I repeat again, the proof of purchase, get it. In other words, a marriage certificate. You understand that?
That is the proof of marriage, especially in this society. Because we've seen a lot of different brothers in a lot of different scenarios, different schools, organizations. They run off on the club when it's the fan. They say, oh, I was never married to that person. Because guess what? And guess what? Nobody can say nothing because there's no proof. There's no proof. There's no proof. There's no certificate. Get the proof. Get the certificate. Remember the society we're living in? Esau, who in captivity, he said you have to go to your oppressor for want of all things. But guess what? You're in captivity. You don't have to go to your oppressor for that proof of purchase. You understand that? And guess what? Even if you do it your own proof of purchase, your own contract, you still need to get it notarized by a public legal defender, a lawyer, an attorney. You understand? You need to get it notarized, filed in the court. So you still got to go through the system in some form. So if you're in captivity, accept the fact that you're in captivity and get the proof of purchase. Get it. Because some sticky situations have happened in a lot of different areas where people intrude and then they say, I was never with this person before. They run off on the play because people get wicked. Or people just reveal their wickedness. Wives have run off to be with other men, but men have run off and left their responsibilities. They say, I was never married to she. Not me. Get the proof of purchase, aka the marriage certificate. Understand? In today's time, it's very important. Okay? We don't want a scenario where people running off and saying, I was never married to this person, I want to say, it's the time. You understand? Because guess what? You got brothers running off talking about, I was never with this woman. And then he did, the Bible says if a woman, the only woman could, a man could divorce a woman is if she committed adultery, right? But if you decide, well, okay, this woman committed adultery, and you didn't give her a bill of divorce, you're still married to her. We've seen with organizations where brothers run off and tell them, man, marriage should have married. The Bible says you have to be married to a divorce. I don't know, just still married to her. Don't show her. You have the grounds where you can divorce her, but you're still married to her if you do not provide her a bill of divorce. So, the bill of divorce is the proof that you are no longer together, right? So now, the wisdom for this time that we're living in right now, get the proof of purchase, meaning get the marriage certificate. Get that. You need that. Because guess what? Even in the case where you are on property together, you go to any financial institution, any sanitary bank, you can say, what's your marital status? You can say, well, yeah, we married. Prove it. You have any marriage certificate? No, we don't have none. You can say, well, we're not married. In society's standards, we're not talking about the Mosaic standards. You when you're married according to the Mosaic standards once you consummate it, but they're not going to recognize that. So, in order to function in this society, you're going to need that anyway. What happens if somebody gets sick and die and they need to pass on inheritance? There's no proof that you were ever married to this person, ever. Get the proof of purchase. Get the marriage certificate. You understand that? Good. So now, like we said, you gotta safeguard yourself should anything go wrong, right? God forbid. You're gonna have to prove that y'all were even married to begin with. So it's very wise to even, now here's the wisdom, it's very wise to get that proof of purchase before y'all consummate. Now if y'all already consummated, it's not too late to make sure you get that. Get that certificate. Get that proof of purchase. For you brothers who have not consummated yet, before you consummate, get that certificate. It's going to save time and it's going to save you a lot of headaches. Because guess what? You don't know what's going to happen in the future. If this person is going to follow the truth, this person is going to be with you in years to come, or if this person is going to turn wicked and leave. Safeguard yourself, get the certificate. Good. That's wisdom. Good. So now the next stage, the final stage is the consummation stage. Now what does it mean to consummate? Does anybody know? What is it to consummate? Consummate. Consummate. Does anybody know? To consummate means to make a marriage complete by having sexual intercourse. So the marriage is not the paper. That's just proof of that the marriage exists. It's proof that these two persons are joined together as one. Right? The Bible says, two flesh shall become one. You become one when you join together in consummation. So it says consummation is to make a marriage complete, to make the transaction complete, to make the marriage transaction complete. Who is the transaction between? The man, the woman's father, the woman, and the master. That's who that contract. But now you're now making the contract complete when you consummate the promise, consummate the contract. Sign the contract by doing the deed. That's how you consummate. So at that point, now you are married. When the two flesh become one. Okay, so going inside the church isn't the marriage. That's just officiating the ceremony. Okay, the ceremony itself isn't the marriage. That's just the coming together of the families have the ceremony officiated. You understand that? That's just a ceremony to bring together these two persons. But the marriage now is when it's consummated. So once you consummate it, you've done the do, you are now one flesh. So the paper, that's not the marriage. You go in the church, that's not the marriage. When you consummate, that is the beginning of the marriage. Because the marriage isn't just one thing. The marriage is a number of things perpetuated over a period of time. So it's the coming together of the two persons, the man and the woman, but now there are roles, there's duties of marriage. Duties of marriage. The woman has duties of marriage and the man has duties of marriage. The man's duties of marriage is to lead, guide, teach, provide, and protect. The woman's duties of marriage is to make sure that she's looking well towards the welfare of her home, obeying her husband. You understand that? Raising the children. Obeying her husband, raising the children, looking well towards the welfare of her home. So, the man, lead, guide, teach, provide, protect. If a man isn't fulfilled, also, do benevolence. Do benevolence. Do benevolence. Right? Let's get Genesis 24 and 67. Let me show you guys something really quickly. Genesis 24 and verse 67. And I guess next class we could probably get into the roles and responsibilities of your duties of marriage. Your duties of marriage. So we're at the consummation stage, right? Now let's go all the way back in Genesis to show you how marriage is consummated. Genesis 24 and 67. Read that.
Reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 24 and verse 67. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah.
So Isaac brought Rebekah into where?
His mother Sarah's tent.
Into his mother Sarah's tent.
And took Rebekah, and she became his wife.
He took Rebekah, and she became his wife. What does that mean? He took her, and she became his wife. What does that mean? He consummated. He consummated. You understand? Was there any minister that was in the mother's tent? So you know we gathered here today to bring these two, Rebekah and Isaac, together, and now no, he took her. What do you think about that?
And Isaac brought her, Rebekah,
So he brought her
into his mother Sarah's tent.
into his mother's tent,
and took Rebekah,
He took her,
and she became his wife, and he loved her.
and he went down and saw that. You understand that? And she became his wife. Became his wife. He lived with her. He consummated the marriage. Right? Let's go to Ruth chapter 4 and verse 16. Right? Ruth. But like we said, there is a process. We just went through the process. The proving stage. Right? The courting stage. The betrothal stage. And the consummation stage. It's a process. The book of Ruth, chapter 4 and verse 16. Okay, Ruth, chapter 4 and verse 16.
Reading from the book of Ruth, chapter 4 and verse 16. And Naomi took the child and laid it in her bosom and became nurse unto it.
That's the one? That's the one I wanted?
Chapter 4,
Verse
verse 16.
16. Verse 13.
So Boaz took Ruth, and she was his wife.
So Boaz did what?
So Boaz took Ruth,
He took Ruth,
and she was his wife.
and she was his wife. What does that mean? He took her. He lived with her. He consummated. And then she became his wife. You understand that? So that's Ruth 4 and what? 13. Good. Give me one more. Genesis 30 and verse 4. Man, I must have been so tired when I was preparing these notes. I probably might know some of these scriptures around. Yeah, but Kappa always working. And Kappa always making sure he on point for you guys, eh?
Reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 30,
And verse 16.
and verse 16.
Correct.
And Jacob came out of the field in the evening,
So Jacob came right over the field in evening time, read.
and Leah went out to meet him and said, Thou must come in unto me.
So Leah told him, you must come in unto me. Because she's already promised to this man. You must come in unto me. What did she talking about? You must come in unto me. Watch this.
And said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night.
And he says he lay with her that night. You understand that? He lay with her that night. You understand? Read 17.
And God had unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob, the fifth son.
You understand that? Bear Jacob, the fifth son. So, he went in unto her. You understand that? That's when that consummation. Wait, was that it? No, that was the fifth son. No, that wasn't the consummation. But I was just showing you the reference of when a man goes in unto a woman, right? And he consummates with her. He does the do with her. That's one of the duties of marriage. What? Do benevolence. Because we talk about a man must lead, guide, teach, provide, protect. One of the duties of marriage is that you have to have sex with your wife. You must. The Bible says your body belongs to your wife, and the wife's body belongs to the husband. Your body is not your own. As a matter of fact, let's look at that scripture. Really good. Chapter 4. 1 Corinthians chapter 4. Sorry, chapter 7, I'm sorry. And verse 4. So chapter 7 and verse 4. My apologies. So 1 Corinthians chapter 7 and verse 4.
Reading from the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 7 and verse 4.
Read.
The wife has no power over her own body, the power of her own body.
It says the wife had no power over her own body, meaning that the husband is the one who has the power over her body. Read.
But the husband, and likewise also, but the husband, The wife has the power over her own body, but the husband.
But the what?
But the husband.
But the husband. You understand that? Read.
And likewise also, the husband has no power of his own body, but the wife.
So when you're married, your body belongs to your husband. And your body belongs to your wife. Because read verse 3. I'm going to show you something. This is one of the duties of marriage. That's what I said. When you getting married or about to get married, you've got to cut the costs. Are you really actually considering this? That your body actually belongs to your husband? Your body actually belongs to your wife? Read verse 3 for me.
1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 3. Let the husband render unto his wife the due benevolence.
The what?
Due benevolence.
Due benevolence. The due benevolence that's due unto her is that you must keep on fulfilling your duties of marriage, which is sexual intercourse. Once you're married, you must give your wife sex, and the wife must give your husband sex. Read from the top. True. True. Two. You want that one too? Let's have one too. Go ahead.
Starting at verse 2.
Read.
Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife.
No, said to avoid fornication, like to avoid being tantalized by somebody else. He says, let them, right?
Let every man have his own wife.
And every man have his own wife.
And let every woman have her own husband.
And let every woman have his own her own husband. Sorry. Read on.
Let the husband render unto the wife due benevolence.
Due benevolence.
And likewise also the wife unto the husband.
You must give your husband sex.
The wife has no power of her own body, but the husband. And likewise also, the husband has no power of his own body, but the wife.
Your husband is in control of your body. Wives. You understand that? The only one you're not supposed to be giving him sex is if there's an understanding whereby you may be tired or sick or, that's understandable. Understanding husband, a wise husband will say, you know what, honey, you're sick right now, it's okay. We could take a rain check on that. Tomorrow same time, no problem. But let's say every day is I'm tired, nothing, tired. You're going against this commandment. You're going against letting the wife do unto the husband do benevolence and the husband do unto the wife do benevolence. You're going against that. Because the marriage is supposed to be fulfilled over a period of time with the duties of marriage. Because remember, the marriage isn't just one thing. It's not just when you consummate the marriage. It's also you've got to continue. You see when she brought him a fifth child? That was them fulfilling the duties of marriage. She didn't bring him one child, two child. 5 of them. Back in those days, they used to have many children, right? But the point that I'm making is this. Don't focus on how much children there. I'm focusing on the fact that when you get married, you are owed those sexual benefits from your spouse. Because her body belongs to you, and his body belongs to you. If you're not fulfilling each other's due benevolence, you're going against the Most High's commandments. You understand? So, let's see, we will actually get into the roles and the duties and the responsibilities. We can't go into it today because it's already 2 o'clock, so we're going to wrap up. But I want to let everybody know when it comes to, so this is part 1, understanding the keys to a righteous marriage. Just put that as part 1. Next week, we're going to continue with part 2. Okay, because when it comes to the roles, there's trouble in the camp. What is the trouble in the camp? I mean, when it comes to understanding the roles, there comes trouble with not knowing what those roles are or fulfilling them properly. So you must know these things so you can correct what needs to be corrected. So, roles and responsibilities for next week. Okay? Good. So, we're going to end it here. Okay, so understanding the keys to a righteous marriage. We said the proving stage, very important. Prove one another. The courting stage, okay, that should lead to the betrothal stage. And after the betrothal stage, it comes to the consummation stage. Right? Good. Next week we'll discuss the roles and responsibilities. Alright? Good.
Good. So we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this Sabbath. For those of you in the internet land, follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/TOC Israelites. Instagram, you can look us up, same handle, TOC Israelites. You can email us if you have questions, comments, TOCIsraelites@gmail.com. And if it so leads your heart to give into our ministries, we would greatly appreciate that, as we need resources and all the help we can get from our brothers and sisters out in the internet land. The PayPal link is in the description of the video. You can find us also on YouTube. Just search for TOC Israelites. Okay, that's TOC, T as in Tom, TOC Israelites. You can search for us on YouTube as well. Look up our street videos. You can see us bringing out the truth to the streets. Okay, as we do every Sabbath day. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. We look forward to having with us again next week, Lord willing. All right, so all praises to the Most High, and we are signing out.